Cybersecurity doesn't exist if you have no cryptography, as far as I'm concerned.
Welcome to Shielded, the last line of cyber defense by PQ Shield, the podcast where we are moving the conversation around post-quantum cryptography from the why to the how. I'm Joe Linson, your host, and I'm here to guide you through the challenges, innovations, and solutions that will help your organization stay secure in the quantum era. Let's future-proof your defenses together. Welcome to this special first episode of 2026. As we embark on a new year, we are taking a moment to look back at the insights and predictions shared by our guests during 2025. Voices that accurately forecasted the shift from theoretical quantum risk to the practical agile reality we're facing today. In this episode, we revisit the holy grail of lattice-based methods and homomorphic encryption with Bill Buchanan, who saw the future of processing data in its encrypted state. We will hear from Mamta Gupta on the critical duality between decade-long hardware life cycles and threats that evolve every 2 quarters. But our experts didn't just talk about technology. They talked about a fundamental shift in mindset. Yolanda Reed explains why PQC migration is far from a one-and-done Y2K event, while Adrian Neal warns us that the greatest danger isn't just the lack of encryption. It's the silent failure of a poor implementation. As we step into 2026, let's reflect on these lessons to ensure our organizations remain resilient, trustworthy, and above all, shielded.
The future is looking really bright. If we move towards these lattice methods, then we'll have the opportunity to bring in what's called homomorphic encryption. And this is the holy grail because we have encryption at rest. That's file. You have BitLocker and so on. That's fine. We have encryption over there. We have WPA2 and all that kind of thing. That's fine. Where we don't have encryption is in process. When data is being processed, the data is in plain text. And it's crazy that we live in a world with machine learning that we're using all this data that can be easily seen. With Lattice, we can bring forward what's called homomorphic encryption, fully homomorphic encryption, which will allow us to be able to process data in its encrypted state. So just imagine you take my blood pressure of my phone, if you want, and homomorphically encrypt it. And then you'll be able to use that data within a machine learning model without actually revealing that data. So I think with homomorphic encryption, we could see the holy grail of the opportunity. And again, there's a performance hit. And it all depends on what you see. I mean, we're needing so much more power in terms of machine learning. So more things are going towards the edge of the cloud. So we're actually seeing that our data isn't processed in the guts of the cloud anymore. We see these edge devices that are lightweight, consume less power and so on, that actually you can send your data to them and they can do the processing and send you it back almost instantly. So I think the usage of secure enclaves, trusted execution environments, edge computing, homomorphic encryption, zero knowledge proofs. I hate to talk in acronyms, but the opportunity really is there for us to properly build systems that are really private, trustworthy, and the big word is resilient. Resiliency is so key, and really we haven't solved resiliency. You see it happening all the time, that a power fail in a data center brings down Facebook for a day and so on. Someone forgets to update a digital certificate on the system and it brings down the whole infrastructure. So resilience needs to be looked at, and we need to distribute our data and our services much more. So things like multi-party computation comes in there, where you can split tasks up. We can have distributed signing, where we can actually have this approach where we can get multiple entities to digitally sign something with a private key that's distributed a lot. So I think we've worked on these things for decades. Cryptocurrency has pushed the envelope so much. if cryptocurrency has done one thing, it's really pushed forward privacy and the cryptography elements because it had to. But I see all of these great things that have been created through cryptocurrency now being applied into the normal world. I should not have to reveal my password to anybody. I should provide you with a proof that I know my password, and that should be it.
The biggest challenge that I see is the disconnect between the speed of cryptographic evolution, which I just mentioned, is very slow because the data is so much that we need to protect. And also the life cycle of hardware, that is also very long. And then you have this threat that is evolving very fast. So implementation timelines, life cycle of hardware are on a completely different timeline or a different scale, right? Years and tens of years kind of scale. While the threat evolution and the requirement evolution is happening literally every 2 quarters. Every 2 quarters, either a new update comes on the threat, or a new regulation comes, or a new algorithm is identified, or one leading algorithm is disqualified. So there is so much churn happening. So this dichotomy between, or this disconnect between, what needs to be done and the time it takes to do it versus, how the requirements are changing and the threat is changing is the biggest challenge. And people are still not comprehending it. So it gives you a twofer, right? So first of all, if your device is going to be in market for next 10 years, then you are subject to CNSA 2.0 requirements, you should have started yesterday because that device should have some PQC capability, because by 2030 every device fielded, subject to CNSA 2.0 mandate must have PQC protection. So that is one, that first you got to start very quickly if your device life cycles are longer. And then the other thing is that because it is evolving so fast, the threat is evolving so fast, the requirements are evolving so fast, you cannot afford to lock in something rigid. And that's where crypto agility comes in. That, okay, I will put in a PQC requirement, but if you lock it in an ASIC and that algorithm gets evolved or broken and a new version comes out or a new kind of threat comes out, then you're locked in with a useless protection. So this is where the traditional ways of doing things have to be rethought. And you have to think about crypto agility. A lot of people find agility and security oxymoronish, but this is what the need of the hour is.
They need to merge. They need to come together.
Exactly. And so that means something you have to put in protection in something that will allow you to upgrade it later. And then I would also mention one more thing, that the requirements and algorithms, their compliance and certification framework has not been decided. So where is this need for agility coming in? Why are we so worried about that these algorithms will be broken? Is because their compliance and certification frameworks are still evolving. They have not been released. So now you have algorithms that have been released that you are now mandated to follow, but you don't know whether they will pass their own certification or compliance or not. During that framework development, we might find vulnerabilities. So there is a widespread recognition in industry that we will see some evolution. Hence, the need for crypto agility.
There is a need to make sure that companies, government can access the right skills, that there is a skilled industry base who can consult, who can help with migration. We have run and still do run a number of industry assurance schemes, where we assure companies, they get the sort of the NCSC stamp, and they can offer consultancy, and buyers will have some level of confidence that they're getting good advice from companies that have got sort of clear training programs, clear skills base, clear repeatable consultancy methodology and so on. So what we're doing is adding a PQC refinement to that. So I think the existing schemes cover things like security architecture and risk. There is an argument that, in 5 years' time, the work needed to do migration to PQC is just a refinement of security architecture. I don't know. I'm sort of speculating a bit into the future, but we're definitely not there at the moment. There is a need for companies to have access to consultancies with expertise in PQC. The idea is we will recognize those companies who can give can give the right support to PQC migration in a number of different ways, but the early focus is on that planning and discovery, cryptographic discovery stages. That can be taking an architectural top-down approach. There will be companies that have a more low-level tool-driven approach. In practice, I think we think everything between those two extremes has the potential to add value. So, we'll be bringing the first cohort on board by mid-August. And the hope, I think this will be an 18-month pilot, and with the chance for at least one more cohort of companies coming onto during that pilot, and then at the end of that, the intent is that we have a stable scheme that will grow and almost incentivize. It'll incentivize larger consultancies to build cryptographic expertise within them, and it'll encourage and give hopefully the intention is to give lines of work to smaller or more bespoke consultancies.
Let's start thinking about the ideas of crypto agility, because the future is a little bit unknown at the moment. We don't even know whether they are actually entirely quantum safe, because we're only just building quantum computers now. We may find out that they might not be quantum safe after all. Having a chat with some professor the other day saying, he wasn't convinced about their quantum safeness. He was a professor of quantum computing. And he said, we'll see. It might not be as safe as we think, which was great. But there's the point. At least with a philosophy of crypto agility, we're going to say, okay, well, let's plan for the worst, hope for the best, but we'll be ready. If we have to change quickly, we'll at least be ready. We'll have a mindset that that's where we should go. I mean, it's going to be tough. Let's just be straight. You're doing a migration, and you've got to start thinking about crypto agility as well, and basically start abstracting applications from their crypto libraries and so forth, instead of, at the moment it's all, meshed together. Again, comes back to you've got a real big job ahead of you. It's not just migration. It's actually, you need to get yourself into a state that's crypto agile. I think this really goes on to the governance issue. When we do discovery planning, when you do crypto discovery on the network and that kind of tooling, we start to see just how bad the governance is, good or bad. But you start to say, well, okay, you see things that are clearly out of policy. I mean, in some cases, you might even see certificates that don't belong to a CA that you're aware of. But it's definitely got the company name on it. You're going to be able to take a measure of the maturity of your governance, and that's something else you've also got to put into your plan of when you've got to get your governance in order, because these new algorithms are not going to be anywhere near as forgiving as RSA was. Not even close. You get the implementation wrong, it will not forgive you. You'll probably lose your security, but not know it, which is the worst thing in the world. I mean, at least if you didn't encrypt something, at least you could have something on the line that says, look, this didn't encrypt. We can still read the plain text. If it just encrypts very, very, very poorly, and you don't realize, you literally lost all your security, but that's not obvious. That's your worst possible situation. And this is how these algorithms will fail. They will fail through poor implementation, and you won't realize.
What is coming with PQC is our language is about to start changing. Our policies, our procedures are about to change. And then we're going to do this technology change. And unlike Y2K, it's not going to be one-time fix. We are about to start changing our cryptography to be changed constantly, and not to depend on just one algorithm anymore. We're going to have a whole toolbox of different algorithms that will all be updating and all be changing, and we will be switching out for the rest of our technology lives. So that's why this is way different from Y2K. With Y2K, the threat was that some of our software might not run. The threat now is if we do not get prepared, then everything we will call a crown jewel, everything that we think is very important, our communications, our finances, will be exposed and unsecure. Way different from Y2K.
Very much not a one and done event, very much a changing the way that we do cryptography and think about that in everyday business, right? So what do you think for an organization that would treat it like a one and done event? What do you think is maybe the biggest thing that they will overlook and feel confident and move on?
Right. And so if they were sold that this is a one and done thing, then they need to fire their consulting place because it's not. I hope this gets out to other people. I hope the conversation continues to grow. This is beyond. We are going to put a lot of effort into the first upgrade, right? And I say the first upgrade because other things will be upgraded, and the algorithms that we have right now to upgrade to, they will be updated. And then there's algorithms that we still need to make sure that everything else is secure, and that is also coming. And so it's not a one and done, and we need to have that conversation, and the conversation actually needs to get up to the C-suite. And so we need to start talking to our leaders and our executives about what this is, not to bore them, but to give them the facts that there is a risk to what is making them successful. And how are we going to protect those things that I call the crown jewels of your company? That is the difference that needs to happen. And when we start talking to them, what are we going to say? We're going to say there's a risk, but we're also going to say there are solutions out there. So this isn't, we're just, sky's falling. We actually have solutions to move to. And the solutions can be done by yourself or with help, right? You get to control how you do this. It's just not a huge money grab.
It's an absolute, the world of tomorrow, first of all, has to be crypto agile in that we've lived the golden era of cryptography for the past 30 years. Funny enough, when the internet was born in like the digital age, I'll call it, the one that we care about, in the late 90s, there were debates, raging debates about how do you allow cryptography to exist outside of certain jurisdictions. There were, crypto with whole policies. And it was very much in the era to do not have agility. If anything, build it so that no one can ever change it was a mantra back then. So we built 30 years worth of capabilities built on construct that are the idea of cryptography is you do not change your cryptography. It is nowhere near agile. It's the opposite of agile. But now we're all facing this challenge going forward, and we have to replace and rebuild and redeploy cryptography in a world that's going to constantly likely change for possibly ever. I hear sometimes people that think as soon as we've migrated to MLDSA, we're done. I also hear many people that go, maybe not. Maybe it's too big. Maybe we'll go Falcon. Maybe we want to have another algorithm that we want to go for. So absolutely crypto agility. I don't think anyone today would debate that construct going forward. And let's face it, I mean, cryptography had its golden era, or the golden age of cryptography was probably from 95 to 2000, roughly, just where we were trying to invent stuff, really cool, creative things. But once we landed on a pretty stable fabric, the number of invention or creation were kind of slow going, because we had this phenomenally good algorithm called RSA that you could use for signature or key transport. You could use it for so many use cases. Why scratch your brain? What that meant is a lot of younger generation of bright people decided, cryptography is not that cool. It's kind of fixed. It's been fixed. Why not go to the cloud or play with AI, or hey, there's quantum coming up? And that was what attracted the younger generations. Now, cryptography is right in the middle of, oh my God, we need to learn we need to reverse engineer every single protocol we've ever invented, every assumptions we've ever made. We used RSA here. What's the best replacement? Maybe it's LMS. It depends, right? And every single decision point, we have to go back and try and figure, oh, we did it for this reason. Now we have to apply a whole new slew of requirements. And we may land with MLChem as the final replacement, or LMS, or SLHD. That transition is so complicated. Like, there's nothing that goes one to one. It's one to N in just about every single use cases. So it's a challenge. It will continue to be very appropriate, I think, for younger generations that want. I think they'll have a blast. They'll always be at the forefront, because we've now, all of us, the world at large, nowadays realizes the importance of understanding your cryptography. So this notion of crypto agility, you being aware of what you're using, when and where, and how to ensure it's well maintained and it's catered for, and on and on and on, means that vast majority of organization will have to build these cryptographic center of excellence, this cadre of people that their brains are constantly looking at what's going on, because this is the fabric that ultimately allows digital economy to survive. And cybersecurity doesn't exist if you have no cryptography, as far as I'm concerned.
The quantum era is already here. With the right tools, the right knowledge, and the right mindset, together we can face it head on. To find out more about PQ Shield and how our cutting-edge solutions can help you secure your data against the quantum threat, visit pqshield.com. Make sure to search for Shielded, the last line of cyber defense, in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Don't forget to click subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at PQ Shield, thanks for listening.